All right, everybody. Episode number 5 of Tales on the Rocks podcast. Going to be a little bit different setup today. I did a little script for a military event that happened in the past, and it's very difficult to find. There really wasn't a lot of stuff on this. I don't even remember where I found this originally. It was like some niche video, like list video on YouTube, and I don't know where it went. There's one video on YouTube that I was able to find on it, and like 4 articles on the internet. There is a movie on it, though. I haven't watched the movie, but there is a movie on it, and I think you guys are really gonna like this because this is a wild story.
All right, I mean, yeah, this is a surprise even for me and
I'm
Caleb.
excited. Yeah, I didn't tell them what it was, so they're gonna have to figure it out on their own. So, on January 21st, 1968, 31 commandos from North Korea's Specialized Unit 124 infiltrated the DMZ in an attempt to assassinate the president of South Korea, Park Chung-hee, at his house in Seoul, commonly known as the Blue House. After crossing the DMZ into the south, the commandos are intercepted by police 100 meters, or 328 feet, from the residence. In the short time following their discovery, all but 2 of the commandos were killed. One of them was captured, and the other was able to make it back over the DMZ into North Korea. After the dust had settled, 26 South Koreans were dead, 66 more were wounded, 24 of which of those were civilians. On top of the South Korean casualties, 4 Americans were also killed. This became known as the Blue House Raid, or the 21 January incident in South Korea. 2 months later, the South Korean government will create a unit to kill North Korea's president and will spend the next 3 years making one of the most controversial units in military history, ending in disaster as the remaining members forced their way into Seoul, leaving death and destruction in their wake. So the 209th Detachment, or the 25th Group, more commonly known as Unit 684, was a special forces unit for South Korea's Air Force that specialized in black operations, long-range penetration, and special operations that are considered high risk. The unit was formed April 1st, 1968, which is where they got the Unit 684 from, was the date it was created, in an attempt to assassinate the leader of North Korea, Kim Il-sung, as a result of their botched Blue House raid. Unit 684 was made of civilians based on physical appearance, most of which were petty criminals, youths, and would later be described by one of the surviving instructors as the kind who would get into street fights a lot. I thought that was odd, but the trainees are subjected to 3 years of harsh conditions and treatment on the island of Silmido, which lies off the west coast of South Korea in the Yellow Sea. During these 3 years, 7 of the 31 recruits would die on the island during training, creating tension between themselves and the government.
How many of them died?
It was 7 of them died.
Okay.
Yeah, so they started with 31 and then 7 died over the 3 years.
Okay.
I think it was like some of them were like got sick, and then there was a group of them that like went, like made it back to the mainland, and they like, I forget what happened to them, but like some crazy shit happened and went down.
Hell.
But for 3 years after the Blue House raid, is they were formulating this.
Yeah, they made Unit 684 2 months after that raid in a plan to kill Kim Il-sung in North Korea.
Okay.
So basically, they were going to do the same thing back to them, but they were going to try and do it for real.
Gotcha.
So while at training, both recruits and instructors were forbidden from making contact with the outside world. They were taught that in order to survive and be successful in their mission, you must kill. For all of the time and training spent on the island, Unit 684 never deployed to North Korea for their kill mission of Kim Il-sung. However, in 1971, the plan was removed entirely due to eased tension between the 2 warring countries. Due to years of abuse, isolation, failed promises by their instructors and government, which included a halt in their salaries and reduction in meals and quality, the remaining members of Unit 684 snapped. It's important to note with this, they're, like, these are just, like, people, right?
Yeah.
These aren't military members.
Okay.
So their family has no fucking idea where they've been for 3 years.
But they were recruited.
They know that they were recruited for something, but they don't know for what. They don't know where they're at.
Yeah.
They know nothing.
Okay.
So, in the early morning of August 23rd, 1971, the remaining members of the kill squad took up arms and assaulted the training compound. One of the instructors, Yang Dong-soo, was going on a supply run and heard a large commotion, one large enough that he thought North Korea might be invading. Before he could react, a bullet entered through his back and exited out his neck. Bleeding and disoriented, Yang would climb down under some rocks on the shoreline and pray that his former students did not see him. By the time the students left, 18 of their former instructors were lying dead on the island, leaving only 6 survivors, but they were just getting started. After killing their instructors, the students donned paratrooper gear and made their way to the shore mainland of South Korea around 1 p.m. Once there, they hijacked a bus and were headed to Seoul, where the South Korean president resides. On their way, they would clash with hundreds of police, soldiers, and security forces, determined to get payback for the wrongs done to them while on the island. After the bus was forced into a tree just outside of Seoul, an intense standoff occurred between hundreds of police and now the cornered assassins. After being in a standoff for a few minutes, the members of Unit 684 detonated hand grenades inside the bus, killing 15 people instantly and leaving 4 others wounded. All in all, the mutiny would result in 34 people dead, 30 wounded, and 7 missing. After the disaster, the government tried to cover up their top-secret assassin training, where the defense minister declined to explain why non-military personnel were kept in custody. The surviving 4 members of Unit 684 were sentenced to death at a military tribunal, and they were all executed on March 10, 1972. Up until the late 1990s, the South Korean government concealed all information related to the unit, its purpose, and the cause of the resulting mutiny. The unit only came to the larger public's attention due to a film named after the island, Solmido, which was released in 2003. Even with this, the government took until 2006 to release the full report on the unit and its following mutiny. In 2009, the families of unit members sued the government for 670 million won. On May 19, 2010, the family members were awarded 273 million won, stating, "The Solmido agents were not informed of the level of danger involved with their training. The harshness of the training violated their basic human rights." The government also noted the failure to notify the family members about what happened to their loved ones until the official report came out in 2006. And that is a rough summary of South Korean Unit 684.
That is insane.
Yeah.
That almost reminds me. Do you guys know that TV show Hannah?
No.
They take. It was this. I think it was like in partnership with the CIA, but it was this project where the government was getting like orphans or unwanted children. So like they would essentially go to like Planned Parenthoods and like, all right, like you just give birth to the child, like we'll take care of it, like we'll pay for all of your medical expenses, but like we'll take the child off your hands once the child is born. And they turn these kids into assassins, like they're child assassins.
Yes.
Because they aren't like nobody expects them.
That does sound familiar.
Yeah, and they are doing assassinations on behalf of the government. And it's like this project with the CIA, but the CIA really doesn't have any oversight with it.
Yeah.
It's like this rogue faction of the CIA. So nobody really knows much about it, and then they start going way outside like their bounds.
Some black ops shit.
Yeah. It's like black ops.
Yeah.
See, but like that timeline is also like absolutely insane because like 1968, you have the huge expansion of communism through Southeast Asia, and North Korea is still recovering from the war. So I mean, like to them, the war is still going on because there really wasn't an end to the Korean War.
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing with the DMZ, and like the fact that they made it like a football field away from that house. Like who knows how that would go if they got there.
Right. Because like you look where Seoul is on the map, like close, it's pretty freaking close to the border.
Yeah.
And like I'm actually really curious, you know, what the training looked like on the North Korean side. Because I mean,
so that unit for them was their only tier 1 special operations unit.
Okay.
And they all got killed except for 2 of them. One of them got captured.
I feel like special forces, like, you know, it converts differently to what special forces are now compared to what they were.
Yeah, it was
back
basically
in the
just
day.
commandos,
Right.
is all it was. And I mean, the South Korean one was basically vagrants
Right.
that they found.
But like, you know, that kind of makes people wonder, like, you know, what would have looked like if they were actually unleashed in North Korea? Like, how well would they have been able to hold up? Because I mean, it sounds like, I mean, they had a standoff with the police for, did it say for how long?
It was a couple minutes. So they hijacked a bus. So like there's other people on this bus, not just them. And when they were making their way to Seoul, they were somehow pushed off the road into a tree. and they were there for a bit, and then I guess when they realized, like, okay, like we can't get the bus going again, and like there's no way, whatever. These people have been just mentally fucked for 3 years straight.
Yeah,
dude.
Well, because
they just detonated grenades inside the bus.
Yeah.
That also goes to show, like, the fact that South Koreans were, able to recruit these guys. That means that when they got to North Korea, no rules apply.
Well, so
it's
that was
like,
the thing.
You do what you can.
That's where that whole thing
because
comes
they weren't
from. Where like
affiliated with the government. They were just
they were just there. Like the people didn't know what was going on, and that's that whole thing where they were just basically
Plausible
told, like, in
deniability
order to
and all
survive,
of it.
you have to be able to kill. And I wasn't able to find anything, but I assume the thought process was, okay, if these people get caught, they're not associated with the military.
Right.
But like nobody knows this is going on.
What I'm curious though is, let's say they were successful, right? What would they have done with that unit? Would they continue to do these Black Ops
Probably.
missions, or would they just?
Probably they would end up dying, is what would happen. They
it
would
was a
die or get
suicide
captured
mission.
by North Korea.
But
Like
I
if
mean,
you kill the dear leader,
yeah,
right? Like you're not leaving.
Yeah.
I wonder if
That's the risk.
I wonder if that's what they realized is, even if they're successful.
Well, they didn't realize anything. They wanted to go, but that got scrapped in 1971.
Oh, so that's why they ended up kind of snapping against.
That's why it snapped, because they did all this training and shit, couldn't leave. Their pay was getting fucked up. Their meals were getting withheld from them. They were getting abused by the trainers, and then
just take care of your people, man. It's that simple.
And then they went through and were like, well, I think it was also too is they were like not letting them leave, right? Because it's like, okay, cool, we have all these people that know what we were doing, like we can't let them go anywhere. So they just fucking killed all of them.
Well, I mean, you do have to
Except
think
for
of
the 6.
these people are considered vagrants, degenerates,
Yeah.
like a lower class citizen in South Korea. So I mean, like they were probably promised, no sentences, like terminating. Like,
Their
Yeah, I
records
mean,
were going to be scrubbed.
I don't know what the particulars were.
Maybe there was a payoff at the end.
Yeah, I'm sure there was going to be some sort of massive benefit to them, right?
Oh yeah,
Something for sure, but when they did, the real snapping point for them is when they figured out that, okay, we're not going anywhere, and they're not going to let us leave, and they just killed most of the instructors on the island. And that one instructor, Dong Soo, who lived, was like, he has like a couple like recounts of like what happened, and he was like, it was terrifying because he's literally hiding underneath, like, how if there's like a jetty going out, he's basically hiding along that and like hoping that they don't see him. They shot him, and he's hoping that they don't fucking see him.
He was the one that was shot.
He was the one that shot in the back, and it came out the front of his neck.
And
he was shot uphill running away.
And what year did he live to?
I don't know if it said in there what year he lived to, but I mean, all this stuff was really coming out like way later
in the 90s.
Did it talk about any of these instructors being veterans from the war?
I think they were all like. So that's the weird thing is, it appeared like all of the instructors were military of some sort, which why?
That's only about 15 years apart from the war.
Yeah. So like really, what I'm kind of going into is like, how much of that training came from, America, like the United States, like, because really, like when you look at
but nobody knew it happened.
No, but when you look at commando operations during that time, the only people that really had commandos were the United States, Russia, and the United Kingdom. There might have been like other countries that had like special forces operations.
I think they called it commandos. I think it was more like guerrilla warfare.
Yeah.
Where
now,
they're just going to send people in.
Did you see if this was funded by any sort of USH, like was CIA involved with
It didn't say anything with that. I think it was literally for South Korea to get back at North Korea for attempting that assassination.
Okay.
And they decided to do the same fucking thing that they did.
What was that?
The CIA did not exist during that time. It would have been the VSS, I believe.
Okay, it would have been the CIA. So it would have been the CIA equivalent of that time.
Yeah,
because they were formulated when.
Like it was like right in the middle of Vietnam.
Okay, because there was still the security branch that was the predecessor to the CIA.
Yes, but like when you think of military commandos in the United States military at that time, it really just came from the Army, and I think the Navy had like some sort of like forces, like they had like.
Well, no,
Like-
it was the CIA. CIA, September 18th, 1947.
Oh well, then I'm
When
a
it was
stupid
founded.
idiot. All right, cool.
Well,
I
because
am
right,
so
But no,
fat,
but there still
stupid.
was some sort of
Vietnam was in
intelligence.
the 60s, right?
Yeah.
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 But they were still like even during Vietnam, like they.
And when was MK Ultra? That was the 60s, right? Was that the
Oh, I don't
60s
know.
or the 70s? That did that shit. Something
Like, because I know,
when,
like,
when people could do drugs.
oh,
Yeah.
what a
Wasn't
time
that
to be
big of a deal.
alive. Get some of that sweet LSD.
Yeah, but like this, I don't know.
Oh, was that
what
when they were
their-
testing LSD on U.S. service members?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, they were doing.
They were doing a
all
bunch
of
of
it.
crazy shit.
I mean, they tested everything on U.S. service
But
members.
right,
so.
but like that also for that time, like we look at this now, and we're like, okay, this is fucking crazy, which it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at that time, there was so much crazy shit.
There's a lot going on. Because
And it's just like nobody hears. Like there was like trying to find stuff for this was me going to the Wikipedia article for it, and then clicking the sources that they used.
yeah.
Like there's not a lot on this.
Well, I'm sure Korea sees that almost as a stain on
Sure.
their history, so they want to scrub
100%.
as much as possible
100%.
from.
Yeah, it's their Bay of the Pigs.
Yeah.
But like I'm really surprised that there's not a lot on it at
Well,
all.
I'm not
Like it's the
surprised there's
internet.
not a
Like
lot.
okay, like they can scrub it as much as they want, but like they're not going to scrub this.
Yeah. I gotta find.
It'd be
that
wild
movie.
if they did, but they're not.
Yeah. Well, this definitely sparked my interest.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, when you look at like every like single event that's happened between like South Korea and North Korea from that time, from the Korean War up to now, I mean, there's like all sorts of events. This one is like probably the craziest one I've heard because you know, like North Korea has sunk South Korean ships.
Yep.
And got away with it pretty much.
I mean,
you know,
they got
without
the
any
Pueblo. They got the whole crew of the Pueblo,
That's
and they
right.
still have it as a museum.
Right. But this one is more personal. So like
Right.
when you're talking about like taking people, you know, out of jail, I'm assuming.
So I don't think they took them out of jail. They just went around and were like, "This person
yeah.
looks like they could fight," and went with an offer of like, "Hey, we'll pay you to do this secret thing for us." And then I think it's one of those things where they got it over their head because that island is just like it has like hills that are like 300 feet high.
Yeah.
And it's like that's all it is. It's like a beach, and then like it's like basically like an island
Yeah.
in like Hawaii, like a smaller island.
Yeah.
But you can see like when the tide is low for a couple hours a day, there's a sandbar that connects to mainland South Korea.
Okay.
So like if you go to South Korea, you can fucking walk to this island,
Okay.
and like there's nothing there, but they had like a sign in the beginning, like their like I guess welcome sign you can call it, and it had a skull and crossbones that was like an actual like skull,
Oh, like
Right.
a human
like
skull?
a human skull with like bones on it as like their entrance thing
Jeez.
that was up.
Wow.
So it was like a hardcore training, but all these people did was just get fucking abused by the instructors.
Yeah. Like, well, now I'm kind of curious. I mean, somewhere in South Korea there was a plan to get these guys in North Korea, and I am very.
Oh yeah,
curious
and
how
I
they were
wonder
gonna
how
do
much that like they're there training for 3 years, and
Yeah.
North Korea is not known to have the best actual defenses for things.
Right.
They have a lot of like, oh, we'll fucking kill whatever, but like, is the capability there?
It's right.
They
Well, I
have
mean, you
intent.
look even like at modern day, right? Their capability with the Korean soldiers going into Ukraine. So
Right.
it's with the 11,000, 13,000.
No, that
Yeah.
that's actually.
I mean,
a
you
pretty
even
good
look at
point.
like they're like, oh, we have whatever their air force is called, and it's all Cold War like MiGs,
Yeah.
and the pilots get maybe like 6 hours a year of
Yeah.
flight time.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be able to do it.
But then, like, you look on Reddit, and there's all these videos where, these North Korean troops are just storming an open area of a
They're
field
fodder.
in Ukraine.
They're fodder.
And
Yeah.
you have the Russian troops and tanks and other,
Yeah.
mechanized means. Meanwhile, just
That's
drone
the same
after
thing.
drone is hitting every North Korean
This-
troop, and they're just being absolutely obliterated.
This
Yeah.
is a more organized version of in the beginning of that war, where they sent all of the like mentally disabled folk and the prisoners, and they were like,
Yep.
run in this direction, and they would look and see where the gunfire was coming from. That's kind of the vibe I get from this.
Yeah,
Is they were there to do something, but there was zero expectation that they were going to make it back.
yeah.
Like, there was going to be no rescue mission. There was going to be nothing. I don't know what they did with the North Korean guy they captured. I don't know what they did with him.
He's probably lived his whole life in South Korea.
Probably.
Because, dude, their life isn't better in North Korea, even back in the day. Because, dude, you had Mao Zedong, come to North Korea's aid during that war to basically win back North Korea and, create that ceasefire at the 38th parallel.
38th parallel,
38th.
I believe, is the
one
that they're at.
The dependence on China was real for North Korea. So, really, my thing is that there wasn't a real reaction from North Korea that sparked another war or, sparked another real engagement between South Korea and North Korea after something like this. Because,
what was going on in China during 1968 to 1971?
So they were rebuilding. They're trying to rebuild their economy.
Was that what year was the Cultural Revolution? Was that after, or was that right around the same time?
I could not tell you. So Mao Zedong had his own reformation.
Okay.
And killed a lot of Chinese people. And a lot of their military is made up of conscription, just like the Soviets. And so after the Vietnam War, Vietnam signed a friendship treaty with the Soviet Union because the Soviets had a huge hand in the Vietnam War against us.
Yeah.
And when that treaty was signed, China went to war with Vietnam. And, they dispatched an insane amount of troops and did not go well. China did not win that war. They had a lot of casualties. There's a movie on it that actually China made, and it's kind of hilarious if you ever watch it because they make the Viet Cong look out to be just, menacing monsters. But the reality, is that they're just people, fighting in their backyard, defending their country.
You're going to get that propaganda looking charging into the fight, and that's all that
right
North
honor
Korean communism shit too.
Right. And Vietnam, a communist country itself finding another communist country was more for they took care of the people. We look at Vietnam today and it's the most successful communist country in the world. And looking at North Korea still being communist.
Yeah, but their problem is isolationism.
Yeah.
That's gonna
it's a hermit.
That's gonna wreck anything that you're trying to fucking do.
Yeah, because at least China has open trade with the rest of the world.
Yeah. And they produce a lot. There's not a lot that North Korea is going to produce that you can't just fucking get somewhere else.
Their export, I don't know if you've ever looked into this, but when Kim Jong-un is in charge right now?
Yeah.
His dad was Kim Jong-il.
Yep.
Ill,
baby.
So when you look at the export, most of the export was for his personal use. So his biggest thing was the French brandy.
He's got a bunch of weird tastes for shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
And that's why so I'm really big into looking things in North Korea. I just find it fascinating.
Yeah.
And there was a plan where somehow I forget what government, U.S. government agency it was going to be. They, in order to find out what his health status is, they were going to try to get a sample of his fecal matter to determine, because you can determine a lot from that of how general health and gut health and whatever. Because every once in a while he'll just disappear for a month, and it's is he dead or what's going on?
North Korean
and
supreme
they
leaders
don't
poop.
Apparently, well, so that's the thing is the whole thing is he doesn't poop, but I think they started that because they don't he poops and then someone takes it away. Doesn't go anywhere, So that's one of those weird things, and then he'll go through and they'll be oh, they, not him, I think it was his father, invented the hamburger in
what?
the 70s. And it's no, you didn't. It was what is it? It's for them it's called a meat cheese sandwich or something.
Oh,
it's
God.
very literal to what it actually is.
So nuts.
But yeah, it's really weird to see. And there's a guy on, I forget what the name of the thing is, but there's an open, basically this guy does Google Earth shit, and obviously all open source, and he has a blog where he posts updates about things with North Korea, and the DPRK has tried to shut his shit down multiple times because he'll go in and he'll look at Google Earth and be like, yeah, like there's this like concentration camp thing that they have over here, and like now it looks like they're replacing this building, and like here's where these train tracks come in where they drop people off. Here's where they hold all these people.
Yeah.
He has stuff for like different like tunnel entrances outside of these camps, and like he'll like somehow like mark them for like where they enter and exit and shit. It's crazy.
Dude.
And this guy just has a fucking blog, and he's working out of his like apartment.
Well, I think a lot of that, even like a lot of that open source stuff, that's how. Now going to China, like do you guys know about the Uyghurs, that ethnic minority in China?
The
Oh.
Uyghurs.
I've heard of it.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like a TV.
Oh no.
Like,
So
The Weekenders.
So for decades, and I guess China still sort of denies it, but they have essentially these camps, and they do like the quote unquote re-education
yeah.
for these ethnic minority Muslims called the Uyghurs.
Mm.
I think there's like a couple million of them in this part of China, and like China doesn't like them, but that's a lot of their expansion on these camps was discovered through something like this, through that open source satellite imaging.
I mean, it's just crazy to use Google Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like China would deny it, like, oh no, we don't have camps, and then like, well, there's images right here that prove otherwise.
That's the funny part, is that like they feel like that nobody can prove anything that they're doing. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
especially in a
they
country
don't
like
have
North
to.
Korea.
Like the thing is, like Kim Jong Un went to school in Switzerland,
Yeah.
so like he knows what the outside world
Yeah.
looks like. He's very aware, but all you need to do is tell people that don't have access to internet, don't have access to the outside world, can't go anywhere. Even when they do those trips to North Korea, everything is freaking displayed how they want it to be seen, and it's very obvious. So like there was a Vice documentary where they went to, it was like our version of like an internet cafe, and this guy is just staring at the Google home screen. And then they interview someone else who obviously was meant to be interviewed because he was the only person that they spoke to the entire time, and they brought him over. And he said the stupidest thing. It was like, oh, I'm looking, for a study for a paper that I wrote. And he's in like fucking like Notepad. Like it wasn't like having the internet. You can tell that they're not doing anything. But if for them, they're like, oh, it's going to look good.
Yeah.
It's going to look great. And if you say anything, like it's going to be a fucking problem.
That's normal. That's normal for them.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that it blows me away. Like every single time I see something in North Korea, like my wife watches a lot of like these food like shows, whatever, and they're all like on YouTube, and they sat down with this girl that escaped North Korea, and she talked about the food that she ate in North Korea, and it actually looked kind of good. Like she's bringing up like pork, kimchi, whatever, but it's like really basic, kind of seasoned, whatever. And then she's introduced to like this other food in South Korea, and it's like blowing her mind. So like going to North Korea, like living in North
Get her
Korea,
a fucking
growing
Flying
up,
Dutchman, dude, from
dear God.
fucking In and Out.
Well, even like
Send her to
when
another planet.
when they have like big visitors that come to North Korea, like oh, I'm gonna go, and they have
Rodney,
like, visit the
who is it? Fucking
Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman. I was about to say Rodney King.
Well, 'cause-
Whoops.
Yeah, wrong one.
Yeah.
So with Dennis Rodman, well, with Kim Jong Un, actually, he is a huge basketball fan, and
Doesn't have the build.
no. So what's kind of cool though in North Korea is they do have a professional basketball league. The rules are slightly different. I don't know like what specifically is different.
Losers probably get
Assassinated.
Killed. You better win.
Losers' grandparents go to prison.
Oh,
But apparently, your next 3 generations are going to prison. They're going to re-education camps.
Oh,
we
yeah.
go dig for salt.
100%.
Yeah, dig for salt and break rocks.
Yeah. Here, we're going to get this coal.
Yeah, they try to keep building teams, but there's only like 2 teams. I don't know why.
Yeah, no one wants to play. That's
It
crazy.
really is a sad situation over there.
Yeah. A sad state of affairs, for
No,
sure.
but yeah, they do have a professional basketball league. The rules are slightly different. From what I've heard, like they're actually like it's kind of a cool like rule change. Like I said, I don't really know the super like or the details about it. But I guess Dennis Rodman is sort of the liaison between the U.S. and North Korea.
Oh, yeah.
Who would have thought?
Dude.
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing that for fucking years.
Yeah.
Dude.
I mean, the guy was also married to Madonna. So.
Yeah, but like they,
But
they
he's sort of
also-
a cool. I mean, he's just I don't know, has an aura
Yeah.
about
yeah.
himself.
He's just very carefree.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of have a lot of like crazy stuff with that because North Korea does a lot of kidnapping from Japan and Hong Kong,
Yeah.
and they got a what was it? A film director's ex-wife, and then he went to Hong Kong to try to find her because she went missing, and then they got him, and their job was to make essentially like North Korean movies, which are just propaganda film.
Yeah.
But the problem was when they were, trying to do this is like they don't really have a fucking budget, right? So it's like the same plot every time. It's like a Hallmark movie, dude. It's the same plot, but like you're in a different location. And they would make like their version of Godzilla. And it's like fucking atrocious. And then they went to I forget where this meeting was, but they had like some kind of like film convention. And North Korea sent them and were like, okay, you're going to go to this film convention and like show them what you're making. And then you can bring stuff back so like we can make more things. And they're like, got it. And then they went there and they went to an embassy and got like flown back to the U.S. And obviously North Korea wasn't too happy with that. They were kind of pissed. So they just got rid of any movies that they made and made it illegal to like talk about these people. But the problem now is all the people that are trying to make movies and propaganda movies in North Korea have never seen Western film because they can't view Western films. Like Kim Jong-un, they have like thousands of videos. His dad was really big into like fucking Rambo. Like loved Rambo.
That's crazy.
But the U.S. making Rambo and North Korea making Rambo is two different things because one of them's Rambo and one of them's not. So, like, it all looks like shit because they just film it the same way. It's a bunch of choreographed like music, just like talking up North Korea and talking up about like this fight, to keep communism moving forward, and it's just trash. It's absolutely fucking trash. But they try and mimic Western media, but they can't do it because if they mimic what the Western people that they kidnap do, they're gonna die because they can't talk about it.
Wow.
So it's like
That's heartbreaking.
yeah. So like they're in a kind of a pickle because they're supposed to make all this stuff, but if they do, they're gonna die because
We can't talk about pickles either.
yeah. There's a bunch of weird shit, dude. A bunch of weird stuff at that
Oh
place.
my
Dude.
But
gosh.
people still go there. People will travel to North Korea. They'll go to like China,
Yeah.
and then they go from China to
Well-
North Korea.
Well, they do want. I mean, they have an industry of tourism, and they still invite tourists to come. It's a very scripted and organized.
It's scripted, and like you are not seeing like they have like grocery stores.
Yeah,
and
they stock the grocery stores.
it's not even stocked. It's a fucking
Fake.
cardboard thing
Oh.
in the window.
Yep.
Like if you go up to the window, it's just fucking cardboard.
Because there's no traffic. There's nobody going to
Yeah,
these
no,
grocery
like
stores.
only certain people can drive, and then like you're only really in like Pyongyang.
Yeah.
which is
well,
very
I think you can't leave
orchestrated.
the city.
You can't leave like wherever they tell you to go. Like it's
Yeah,
very
you
like you're
can't
in your room.
Even like your to take photos or videos is very
They have to vet it.
controlled.
Yeah, I mean, there's still people that'll like record like when they're
Yeah.
not supposed to, which is sketchy as fuck.
Yeah, because there's that one guy,
Oh.
the one U.S. citizen that he ripped a poster down,
yeah,
and then he got imprisoned, and he got put on trial for it, and then they eventually
Brought him back to the
extradited him back to the U.S. But he was he was in
he
a
was
coma.
in a coma.
He died.
Yeah,
The problem with that is, so he was at the Pyongyang hotel, and I believe it's like the 5th floor or some shit is like only employees of the hotel can go to this floor.
Okay.
So they have this grainy ass fucking security footage from New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, whatever one, and they have someone like tearing this poster down and then like just leaving it there. Like nobody took the poster, right? They like pulled it down and then like just put it on the ground
Mhm.
and then left. The problem with that is, and of course North Korea is going to look for a scapegoat the whole time. The issue comes down with he's in a choreographed group of people that are there. During that time, he was with that group because there was like a New Year's Eve celebration going on that he was at. So they basically charged him with something that they know for a fact he didn't do. And, like, you can't tell from that video because it literally was filmed from a fucking potato. So, like, it's just a dark video of a shadow down a hallway, like, taking a poster and putting it on the ground. And they're like, that's him. And they picked him up at the airport. They were getting ready to board the plane, and all of a sudden these people came up and just grabbed them. And then they were like, oh, the rest of you need to go. And, like, there's nothing they could do about it. They had to get on the plane and leave.
So they knew he didn't do it, but they needed to blame somebody.
I think it was for, like, a leverage. I think it was a leverage thing of, okay, we have this American.
Yeah.
We'll try and get something for it.
Because what year was this? This was 2000.
Yeah.
20.
Was it like 2010 around that time?
No,
I guess we could look that up.
No, because I was doing EMS at the time, so it had to be like 2013 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. 2013, 2014, somewhere in there probably. Yeah, Otto warm beer. Yeah, it was somewhere around then. But, like, they're just going to try to do something for leverage. And I think then once he got probably some kind of, like, fungal infection in his brain or whatever, they sent him back. But they didn't know, like, the state of him.
Wow. Until
they were flying back. And then when they got, like, medical professionals on board, they were like, he's fucked.
2016.
2016, okay.
Oh, that was actually more recent than I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, that's, 9 years ago. Wow.
Yeah. Oof.
Time flies.
Oof.
But yeah, it's like one of those just real shitty things. Like, I don't know why people go and do it. There's people on Reddit that go there and they're like, I've been in North Korea 3 times.
I mean, I think they're just so obsessed with trying to figure out why or how a society like that even exists.
I think it's something where for the most part you're safe because you have to remember it's life and death for those tour guides.
Yeah.
Like if you fuck up, like you're going to get arrested and probably killed or whatever. But like they're going to get killed. Their parents are going to get killed, and then their grandparents are going to get killed.
Well, there's also an opportunity for a lot of these groups. So there was a documentary, I can't remember when it was, but the eye doctor, the optometrist that went out, and he was removing cataracts from people.
Oh, yeah.
And huge hit because he was in North Korea doing these operations, and he was doing them for free. I don't know if North Korea actually paid him to come out and actually do these operations.
Was he doing this independently?
I think he was. So he brought out doctors with him, and it's kind of a crazy documentary. I'll have to look it up, but he would remove cataracts, and the recovery time for it is pretty quick. So there's a lot of old people, and that's a huge issue in North Korea. So they would get their vision back, and they'd go straight to a poster, and they'd be like, "Oh, now I can see, so I can kill Americans and South Koreans." And they're just praising their glorious leader.
Yeah.
And it's all propaganda. And North Korea saw it as an opportunity because they were like, hey, let's put certain people through these operations. Let's get them on camera. And every single one of them didn't speak ill about their government, about the supreme leader. They went to homes, and as an American watching this documentary, it's very suspicious because they would go to a house with a family, and I don't know if you've ever seen their Secret Service agents, but they look like they're something straight out of a 70s movie.
Yeah.
They're wearing bell bottoms, big old suits.
I mean, everything about them, man. Even you look at the movies and their films that they produce. It's they took acting classes from the 1960s.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Bad acting classes.
Everything is stuck in time.
Paid with food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, everything for them is stuck in time. You look at their military when they do those big parades.
Oh, geez.
And it's they're all doing that high kick step thing, and all those
stepping.
medals they have are freaking bouncing.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's a story too. So the Chinese military does it too.
Oh, yeah.
With the pins.
Yep.
They have the pins going straight to their neck to keep their heads up.
Yeah.
And the last military parade got a lot of attention because North Korea was trying to show that they had a modern army, and the only thing modern about it was small arms and vehicles. That's it. That's not as expensive as new, ICBMs, ships.
Yeah, I mean they had
or just having good tactics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because they didn't one of the biggest things, with any sort of battlefield is you own the air, own the skies. That's how you win the battlefield. I haven't seen an update
that
there.
6 hours of flight time a year isn't going to work out.
Yeah.
It's not going to fly.
U.S. has it locked in the first and second biggest Air Force in the world.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, the Navy's got the largest Air Force.
The Navy's got the largest Air Force, and the second largest Air Force is the Air Force. So, pretty.
Dude, we're
crazy.
so cool. I'm just saying. I'm glad we're on this side.
Yeah, good spawn point.
Yeah.
Good spawn point.
Yeah. There's stuff our country's got to work on, but
Of course.
I'm definitely proud.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to be in,
Yeah, I
in
mean,
this
it's
country.
definitely not.
Very happy to
And like
be in the U.S.
That's even the weird thing where people are talking about like, oh, Trump is trying to have relations with North Korea. I wouldn't say that's a bad thing.
No.
Obviously, they're doing some fucked up shit. I wouldn't say we'd be like great partners or
Yeah.
allies.
Well,
But it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
I wouldn't
No.
want tensions constantly with an
Yeah.
adversary.
right.
Yeah.
Like they're going to be an adversary forever, right?
Right.
Like, but
adversary
I
that
wouldn't want. I would like to somewhat have a good relation.
Yeah, especially with a country that can have a missile that can reach Hawaii.
Oh yeah,
And
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what Trump is the only president that's actually been inside of North Korea.
that's right.
And
Yeah.
there was a story I found a while back, especially during Trump's first term, was that
Well, I
Kim
think they've had other
Jong-un-
presidents in North Korea, but not with Kim Jong-un.
Right.
I think with his father,
Okay.
a president did
Well-
go to North Korea.
Kim Jong-un is absolutely terrified of Trump because he thinks he has Trump assassins that look just like Trump.
Well, dude, imagine being at that stage and like same thing with Putin, dude. Where like
Yeah.
everybody is trying to fucking kill you.
Yeah.
Like there's not one person genuinely that likes you.
No, but it also, we're in 2025, and North Korea has still been able to hold its status as a hermit country where everyone still believes that Kim Jong-un can speak to a dolphin and
And
never-
They
doesn't
can
poop.
learn to fly a plane. He was like born like on a mountain,
Hey,
whatever that
yeah.
mountain was. Like the sun came up.
Yeah, well, I was watching this one video, and it was with these North Korean soldiers. They had, hiked this mountain in winter, and they had this big old ceremony on top.
Yeah,
And on top of the mountain is Kim Jong Un with his squad of Secret Service folks. And he's sitting there like in a suit, dress shoes, and everything. And they're like, "Oh yeah, he's the fastest person to ever climb this mountain. He just climbed it in like you didn't just
On the other
climb
side
this.
is an escalator.
Like
Yeah.
no, they fucking
they
flew him up
craned
here.
him to the top. Fucking moved him like a pallet of dry goods.
Yeah, I mean
dude.
with the
They got
amount
one of
of
them acorns that
Yeah.
take old people upstairs.
Yeah. Just hop on.
took him just hours to get up there.
Dude. Like,
Yeah, they said he's the fastest person to climb.
Well,
the
it's like even when they have him like flying a plane, and it's like, oh, he learned to fly a plane, just reading the books once, and like his hands aren't even under control. Dude,
it's,
like-
it's like when you invite a child on a commercial airline
Yeah.
to go fly the plane.
It's like giving like your kid or whatever like the other controller that's not powered on, and you're like you're doing it, and they're so happy.
oh,
Yeah,
man.
They're so happy, dude.
I was the youngest in my family, so I was that person.
Player 5,
It was just nice to feel included.
yeah. Fucking screen split 4 ways, and he's got the 5th controller. Nice.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
that's basically him. He's out of all the main players, dude.
Yeah.
He's the one with the not powered on
Dude,
controller.
could you imagine like applying for like that job as the guy that secretly goes into the back with Kim Jong Un to watch him poop? Like he knows. That guy knows. There is someone.
They know.
that
There's
has-
people that know, and
They
you know
catch
what's
it.
weird? I think for sure. Yeah, it has to be
Just
catch
cup
in his
your hands and catch
yeah.
it.
I mean, I don't think he poops in the toilet.
And then when it's a little runny.
Oh no, probably.
Well, no, he has a gold toilet. He has a golden toilet, but I don't think it's like
I think it's a guy that
hooked
wears
up
gold.
to anything.
And
Just the guy from Star Wars.
just sits on he sits on his
yeah.
lap.
I do believe, Supreme Leader, you right here on my chest.
Little-
And then the bottom of it just R2D2.
Just freaking out, watching his best friend getting pooped on.
Wow!
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's definitely a wild world over there. And then like Putin has some of the same shit too, where not as embellished stories, but definitely, he's thought of a lot differently. Like the Russians, they have access to like fucking media and shit, albeit
Oh, yeah.
not as much.
Limited media.
limited
Very
media.
limited.
But like literally North Korea has a freaking LAN internet. Like it's intranet. So like they don't have access to anything that North Korea doesn't want them to fucking see.
Well, have you seen how some of these South Koreans they created this operation to put K-pop into North Korea?
Yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah. Well, North
Well,
Korea
they
keeps
played
sending
at the
balloons
borders, right?
So they'll play it at the borders, but there are these people that actually get like I don't know, they get like thumb drives into North Korea. Yeah. And some of these people, they literally go into a basement. There's a documentary. Oh yeah. There's a documentary of them like in a basement. Squeaking a pop. That's how I like them.
Well, North Korea was just sending balloons with fucking fecal matter in them into South Korea.
I'd rather get K-pop.
Yeah. K-pop is a lot better. And it's like,
can you imagine just walking down the road, like Monday, going to work and get bopped in the face by a diaper?
Well, they have North Korea on the border has a fake town.
Yeah.
Yep.
On the border, and they just play propaganda through these like megaphones. Yeah. But I think a lot of people don't realize, because when they think of the DMZ, they think of like the public area, like with those blue buildings. The DMZ is 4 miles wide.
Oh wow!
Yeah, like it's not.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's like a 4 mile no man's land in between. It's just that area of the DMZ on the western side is like a building.
Yeah.
But they even have, because they'll do like meetings in the middle of that room, and they'll have where, if someone gets close to the North Korean side, they'll have to hold on to like their belt, because there's been incidents where North Koreans have tried to grab South Korean members and like drag them back across into North Korea.
Ooh. Yeah.
So like it'll be like a 2-man thing where like someone will be holding on to them if they're like go over there, so they don't get grabbed.
The craziest thing about that too is that everything is very ceremonial, but on both sides, South Korea and North Korea, the ceremony is the exact same. But on the South Korean side, they have this it's like for the U.S. military, for like honor guard type folk, they get the biggest, best looking people. Like they're looking for
tall, dark, and handsome.
That's right.
Yep.
They're looking for terrifying people on the South Korean border. And I have some friends that have actually been, on that border, like, looked at the troops, looked at the North Korean side, been inside of some of the buildings, and they said that it is very intimidating, because on the South Korean side, they've got some massive soldiers.
Yeah.
And
well, they also have the U.S. people on the South Korean side, and they send the biggest.
Oh, we got some big.
They send
old
some
boys.
freaking.
Well, some of the
Fred.
Well, I was gonna say, even some of the
people.
South Korean soldiers, man. I had an opportunity when I was in the Marine Corps. We did mountain warfare training with the ROK Marines.
Ooh.
Those dudes are pretty badass. So we're doing all this. We're doing rappel towers, and then we're doing cliffside rappels as well. We're doing mountain runs, and all this like rope bridge and all this stuff with rappels and ropes, right?
Yeah.
And we would watch these South Korean Marine recruits do these evolutions with the rappel tower, to where it might take us 10 minutes to go up the tower, get set up, get hooked in, rappel down.
Yeah.
They're doing it in like 30 seconds. They're running up the tower.
Well, I mean,
and they're doing it.
Kim Jong-un can do it in 15.
And they're doing it.
No, we're thinking about safety here.
Yeah,
right?
but all these ROK Marines, man, that were specifically with this mountain warfare training unit, were just nuts. Super fit, super good looking.
All right,
just everything I ever wanted to be in my life.
Nothing that I have.
Yeah.
No, but it was fun because a lot of them don't dip, and so we were trading like dip and cigarettes with the South Korean Marines.
Nice.
Dude, just like watching them vomit. But then they'd like run circles around us. So
but ROK Marines, aren't they considered like special forces?
No.
Okay,
it's. Right. I mean, they have like their special forces unit within the ROK Marines, but they do model their Marine Corps a lot after the U.S. Marine Corps.
Okay.
Just like the Marine Corps logo is the eagle, globe, and anchor. The ROK Marine logo is the eagle, star, and anchor.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people copy what the U.S. has uniform.
But even like the U.S. had a ton of influence with the development of the ROK Marine Corps.
Well, I mean, South Korea itself has a very formidable military. Like, these people are constantly training. They actually have a decent sized military too.
Yeah, I mean we have to figure they've technically like been at war for fucking 50 years.
Well, they also have their 2-year conscription.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And like, I mean, on top of that too, like, you know, they're good people, and like, it's kind of nice to see, like, you know, a population that's still willing to serve. They love their country just as much as, you know, we love ours. But like, I was trying to mention it earlier, but like, you know, one of the things I've always been interested in: does North Korea have a constitution?
Oh, I don't know. We could. I mean, let's look.
I
that
don't
up.
think in the sense of how we view a constitution, they have like the propaganda of like what they're expected to do as a North Korean and like fighting the like imperialist West. But I don't think it's like a it's not. I don't think it's something that's like written down. It's just like
The
general
Socialist
propaganda.
Constitution of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
Okay. Now I'd be curious though. Does it change with each leader that they have?
So it was approved by the Sixth Supreme People's Assembly at its first session on the 27th of December, 1972.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So right after.
And it's been amended and supplemented in 98, 2009, 2012, 13, 16, twice in 2019, 23, and 24. It replaced the country's first constitution, which was approved in 1948.
Okay.
I wonder what that one looked like.
I'm just saying, one and done for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One and done. 200 and some years later, people still can't read. It's great.
I mean,
Oh, I wonder what this means. I don't know. It's like 3 sentences.
I don't know. I mean, we still have amendments that are trying to be changed.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I mean. Like, everyone's like, oh, no, this is confusing. Brother, it's really not. It's really not. Especially the first 10. First 10 are pretty straightforward.
I mean, the process to even change the amendment. So you have to have a 2/3 vote within the Congress. So House of Representatives and then the Senate.
And
so
then
both
states.
The states have to be 3/4.
Yeah.
And then, so once 3/4 of the state ratify it,
Then it's good to go.
Then it's good to go. But there's no, so you can't change an amendment. You have to make a new amendment that then like alters the old, like that supersedes
it's like
the
the
old
new
one.
reference.
Yeah. But so I guess North Korea is sort of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but theirs is probably
It's allowed.
what Kim Jong-un wants to do.
Yeah, the Supreme Leader just
the
says.
Supreme Leader says we're going to do this. They have a little vote, and then they do it.
I couldn't read it all. It's actually pretty interesting. It's kind of funny.
What's like one of the
So
things?
the preamble describes North Korea, which has the official name of Democratic People's Republic of Korea, as the socialist state of Juche? Juche? Juche?
I don't know.
Juche?
Yeah, I don't know.
Juice.
The juice.
Yeah.
O.J. Simpson, man.
Juice.
It applies to the ideas and achievements of Kim Il Sung and Kim Jong Il on state construction.
Kim Il Sung was the first.
I believe so.
Yeah, Kim Il Sung was the first, and then Kim Jong Il was the second, and then Kim Jong Un, and then probably his fucking daughter.
Sister.
After this, well, no, his sister. So his sister, like his daughter, has been like getting paraded around with him, and he wasn't really that old when he took over. Like, when
he was super
when his
young.
father died, he was super fucking young compared to the other two, where when they took over,
That's why there was a lot
old.
of questions about Kim Jong Un when he took over. It was like, all right, does he want better
And I
relations
think
with the U.S. or
I
was he
think
going
that's
to be
why it
like a
got
baby
worse.
snake essentially?
Because I think
like,
I think he had a lot to prove. I think that's what it was. I think he had a lot to prove, and he didn't like the way that his father was necessarily going and doing things. And a lot of people are questioning then, like, okay, like, what's this kid gonna do?
yeah, they were going to question.
And he
his
was
authority.
like, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. You're going to fucking labor camp,
For someone who looks confused and hungry all the time,
Bro,
in every
the
single camera.
funny-
Well, he is confused and hungry all the time.
The
Let's get that.
funniest fucking thing was in the last Trump administration. It was like a thing out of The Office, dude. They have like the cameras panning around, and Trump's like, let's get a picture of us looking nice, handsome, thin. And then they zoom out and they zoom into Kim Jong-un, and he just like looks like he has no fucking idea what's going on. But the thing is, he knows English. So like, he knows what Trump said. And like, it's just him and his like mouth's open. And, like, he got like his like fucking jowls. Dude.
Well, he has all his health problems too. He's
He has a lot of health problems.
Diabetic.
Yeah, that was the thing where they
He
thought he
smokes
died
constantly.
in like, I think it was like 2019, maybe 2018, 2019. He like disappeared for like a month.
Yeah.
And everybody was like,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
fucking dead. And it was a big issue because his sister is like way worse than he is. I mean, he killed his half brother in Singapore.
Oh, that's right.
What?
Or Malaysia.
Yeah.
It was Malaysia. Yeah.
He
So-
escaped.
No, so his half brother was initially the one that was going to take the reins of North Korea when his father.
But he
father
didn't
died.
want to.
He didn't want to. He
Yeah.
wanted because he wanted to like associate more with the West and
Yep.
like open things
Yeah.
up. And whatever happened, he left and basically became like a anti-North Korean spokesperson.
Mhm.
And he was in Malaysia, and these North Korean agents basically trained these two girls from Malaysia that they were going to do a prank show. And to do that prank show, they were going to like go up and they put like this oil in their hand and they would go and like push on someone's face and run away. And they did this several times with just regular like oil. And then when his half brother went through the Malaysian airport, they were like, okay, you're going to get this guy. But instead of doing oil, they did a VX agent. And these girls go up and they, put the stuff on like a gloved hand and they hit him in the face with it. And he like, stumbles over and like, he's like, what the fuck happened? He's talking with the airport security and stuff. And it's all on video. And then he collapses. And there's a picture of him like on this like bench, like slumped over, and he was dead. And it turns out that it was North Korean agents were like the producers of the show.
Oh.
Because the girls were initially going to get sentenced to death. And then it came out that like, hey, like they literally like didn't know. Like they thought like they've done this so many times as a prank show that like it's not like, oh, someone randomly came up and was like, hey, put this oil in someone's face. Like they were groomed basically to just do it and not think about it. So eventually, yeah, they were let off. But
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It does sound familiar, but
yeah, the video of it's fucking crazy too. Because you just see these girls walk up and boom, they hit him in the face with the shit and just run off.
Wow.
And like they didn't know what they did. They didn't know who he was. They didn't know what happened. And the next thing you know, they're like, you assassinated like one of the royal family per se from North Korea. And like Malaysia is the same thing like Singapore. Like they don't fuck around, dude. Like they will kill you.
Yeah, you throw a cigarette butt on the ground in Singapore.
Dude, that was a
Getting
dude.
100 lashes.
So when we were in,
Cane.
I don't know.
Yeah,
where,
you're caned. That's what it is.
I don't know if you were with me on the train on Singapore. So like there's
I was.
there's like
I
a
was the
curfew.
whole time.
And like we were trying to get back, and it was super fucking confusing. Like none of the trains took you to where you thought you were going, and the island's really not that big, and all the train does is just go in a circle. So we're on this train and we're sitting there, and like nothing's gonna happen. But like, dude, I was so just like freaked out, and all of a sudden this train stops, and then the doors open, and like 8 cops come on board, and I'm like, and dude, my asshole went into my fucking stomach.
I think
And
we were
then-
wearing shorts.
Yeah, we were wearing like shorts or whatever, and like
oh my god.
it's like a real because a lot of it's like Muslim, right? So it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
very stringent. But like they didn't do anything to you, but I thought we were fucking done
Yeah.
for a second, dude. I was like, we did something. Somebody said whatever, and that's not even fucking North Korea. I couldn't imagine going to North Korea,
No.
and literally you see any of those police come on, and you're like, dude, they could literally just go and be like, we're arresting you.
Yeah, you get arrested. Next thing you know, you're being sent home in a coma.
Yeah, pretty much. But like you can get arrested there for nothing. Like at least Singapore, like you have to do something. And like it's odd because like Singapore, like prostitution's legal even though it's a Muslim country.
Yeah.
And there was a guy they were telling us in the Navy beforehand, before we got there, that they try to make basically when you go to any of these, like anything like 7th Fleet really, which is like all of the Western Pacific, South China Sea, all that, is they try and make everything sound super fucking spooky, right? Like, oh, you'll get arrested if you do whatever. Like they just try to like strike the fear of God into you. And they had this like NCIS agent come on, and he was like, yeah, we just had a guy in the Navy. He got arrested because he was doing all this stupid shit, drinking, whatever, and he, didn't have anyone with him. And like now he's in prison here for 6 months because Singapore doesn't have SOFA, so there's no like status of forces. If you get arrested, you're fucking arrested and you're there for whatever. So I was like, that's fucking crazy. And then we were talking to a bartender at like one of like the E Club basically.
Yep.
And we're like, yo, like, do you know what happened with that Navy guy? And he's like, oh yeah, he's an idiot. So he got a prostitute, did whatever with them. Then when the prostitute asked for money, he said no. The prostitute called the police on him, and then when the police showed up, he decided it was a good idea to fight them. And that's why he got arrested.
Jesus.
So I literally the rest of the time was like, okay, I guess the moral of the story is just pay the prostitute. Because they made it seem like that and drinking is why he got arrested. But both of those are legal. He got arrested because he fought the fucking police, and he wouldn't have had to fight the police if he just paid the prostitute.
Yep.
So like
It's like what's that one movie? It's about that arms trafficker where it was the contracting company for
War
Afghanistan.
Dogs?
Yeah, War Dogs. They didn't pay the guy.
Yeah.
Just pay the guy.
Yeah.
It was
pay the
box
prostitute.
guy. Yeah.
But like that's the crazy thing is like it's for a Muslim country, like prostitution is legal. So like
Well, it's funny because in Singapore, if you go to the beach, you still have to be fully clothed. Like I don't know.
that was the Maldives. I know when we went
or
to the
Maldives. That's right. That's what I'm thinking of.
So at the resort, we were on like a resort basically. They fucked up sending us there, dude. That was a fucking mess. But we were on a resort, so like you didn't have to. But if you were on like Malé, like the little capital they have, you have to be in like long pants and shit. But the one base we were in Singapore, like you had to be in long pants. You couldn't walk on the base, so they would send like a GV to pick you up. And then there was this like metal detector shit you had to go through, and it was like a whole big deal. But like you could put your backpack in the van, and they would just drive it around. So I was like, this is kind of weird. So me and some other people, we got soju from like this like liquor store they had, and we went into a bathroom, and we had water bottles, and we emptied the water bottles out in the toilet, and then we filled this shit up with soju, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden we're in there, and the fucking door flies open. Like someone like opened this fucking door hard, and I'm like, dude, this is not fucking good at all. And I'm sitting there, and then like the door just closes, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna put all this shit in my backpack, and like hope that we're good, because like you can't have like open alcohol just in town. And so like we did that, and then when I went back through, like I just left the bag in the van, and they just like drove it around. And I remember like going through that little security checkpoint, because we had people get hung up there. We had people get hung up, and freaking they're like trying to fight the fucking cops in there, dude. And those cops will fuck you up, dude. They had like, what was it, like Augs or some shit?
They had like Tavors.
Yeah, like they're a
Jesus
rap,
Christ.
dude. And it just to go on to this like Navy base, and like it was weird because we let them tour our ship, and then they were like, "You can't take pictures of our stuff." So like, yeah, dude, it was just really very weird time.
Yeah, it really was.
But yeah, we're at a hour and 2 minutes.
All right.
Again.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us, and we will be sure to see you in the next one. Take it easy.